Hi everyone, it's Lindy on here from Pink Whisper Designs. Today I'm so excited. It's Stamptember and I'm going to be showing you this brand new set. This was done with Art Impressions in conjunction with Simon Says Stamps. And this is a limited edition stamp set, and you can see you get all these adorable little sentiments with this and these two adorable little ladies with their mugs of coffee or hot cocoa. And this again is a Stamptember exclusive set, and it is called Hug in a Mug. For paper today, I'm using the Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock, and I'm inking this up using my VersaFine Onyx black ink, which is a permanent black ink. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that. I'm using my Mini Misty stamp positioner to do that. And I'm going to start out with my Tomboy Dual Tipped Marker number 528, which is a really pretty blue. And to do my blending today, I'm using my Zig Clean Color Real Brush Pen blender pen. Now there is a Tomboy blender pen which you could also use. I just find that the Zig sometimes is a little bit wetter and it's a little easier for me to blend. And the tip on it is a little bit more detailed, so it makes it easier to get into some of these smaller areas. But either one would do. And because these are water-based markers, you could also use a water brush here as well. So whatever you prefer to work with is the best way to go here. So I'm going to do some blending on this little sweater and just add some shadows. I'm using that same color to add all my shadows here. I'm not going to add any additional blue color here. I'm just going to use this one marker color to do my blending. Now to clean off that blender pen, you just scribble it on your scrap paper if you're changing colors, and when it goes clear, you know that it's good to change to the next color. And you can also remove ink from your images as well. If you get too much ink, you can just pull it off the image and scribble it onto your scrap paper until you get exactly the color that you're looking for. So here again, you can just see me adding a few shadows here and there. So again, as I said earlier, this is a limited edition stamp set. So if you are interested in it, you do want to make sure you purchase it right away. Once it's gone for good, and it won't be available again. And these usually tend to sell out pretty quickly. And Stamptember is just the greatest time of year. It's almost like early Christmas with all the new designs and all the fun projects and all these exclusive items that are available. So check that out. And as I'm coloring this, I also want to mention that if you're not too sure how to shadow these or what colors to use, check out the packaging. The indexing on the packaging is really good, and it gives you some great ideas of things that you can do. So if you're feeling like you're not exactly sure what color combinations to use, that's always a good way to go. And this gray color here that I'm using is N65, which is kind of a medium gray color. And again, I'm not introducing additional colors to do my shadowing here at all on any of this. I'm just simply using that color as many times as I need to add my shadowing. Now I'm using 847 here, which is a red color. The tip on the end of the marker always indicates that it's darker than it is, but when you start blending it out, it starts to really take on a little bit of a pinky tone, which I don't mind, but you may want to keep that in mind if you want a true Christmassy red. But I like that it kind of blends into this pink color. And again here, I'm just going to keep the center here of her body the lightest, and then add some shadows here on the sleeves. And later on, I'll be adding some highlights with a white gel pen, and I'll be adding a little bit more design to this sweater as well. And again, if you look at the packaging, you can see that Bonnie has done that on the packaging as well. So it definitely gives you some great ideas of things you can do with your gel pen. Now I use the white gel pen to add some extra details, but you could use colored gel pens. You could use your black permanent pen to add polka dots or stripes. So keep that in mind as you're going along. You could really customize this. And another thing that you could also do with these is do some paper piecing, which is just to stamp these ladies on some pattern paper and then just cut out the sweaters and glue them on if you wanted like a plaid or a stripe or something like that. So that's another way to go here as well. So now I'm just doing a little more shadowing here with that light gray. And that was N65. And I will have all these marker colors listed down below and also on my blog. Now here I want to mention that I got a little bit of that red in the scarf there. So what you can do is grab that color off the image and then scribble it onto your scrap paper. Now this is number 177, which is a really pretty green color. So again, if you get color where you don't want it, and you can see that I wasn't able to get all the red off her scarf there, but I'm not worried about it. It doesn't bother me. It'll all work out fine in the end. But if off camera, I did work on it a little bit more. So again, you just want to grab your blender pen and grab that color and keep scribbling it off onto your scrap paper until you get rid of it. And if you take your time, it's pretty easy to clean that up. But again, I wasn't too worried about it here. So now with this really pretty green, I'm just going to add some shadowing here. And I also try to limit the number of colors that I use in my design. So you'll see later on, I'm going to repeat some of these colors on my lampposts. So just to kind of not have it get too busy, I like to just pick my color palette. And I know I've shown you that in other videos where I'll select the color palette and then I try to stick with that. Not introducing too many more colors after that. Now with beige and mid brown, I'm switching here to the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens. So you see up till this point I was using the Tomboy markers, but here I'm going to switch. These are also a water-based marker, and I like this color combination. So on this combination, as opposed to the Tomboys where I just use the one color, with the Zigs I am going to use these two colors together and blend these out. And the only reason I switch from the Tomboys to the Zigs here is because I really love this brown combination. I use it a lot, and I really like the shade. So if you don't necessarily have the exact color that you were looking for in your Tomboys, then switch to your Zigs or vice versa. So again, I just wanted to show you that you can switch around here. You don't have to stick with one brand. You could even go to your watercolors if you wanted to. So again, with these Zigs, I am going to use the two colors to shade, but with the Tomboys, I did not. I just used the one on everything. Now back to that light gray, just to do a little shadowing here. And I also like to refer to the indexing on the stamp set just to see all these little details. Sometimes I'm not sure what I'm coloring, so if I refer back to the packaging, I can easily tell what areas need to be colored in. So now I'm using this really pretty yellow. This is number 946, and again, back to the Tomboy pens. And this is the black N15. And I'm using the black for her hair. I'll just put a little up under the hat there and then just pull that down just to leave a little highlight there. Now I've got 761 and 850, and this is kind of a flesh color and then a light pink. So I'll use that peachy flesh color to do the skin here. And then I'll use that light pink on the cheeks. And then later on, I'll put a little bit on her, above her eyes as well, just to add a little bit shadowing and a little on the tip of her nose. Because we're creating kind of a snowy scene, so it's cold outside, so I want to give them a little bit of that look. So now this is all colored in, and I'm going to use my detail scissors and cut this out. And I will follow the lines of the stamp all the way around. And this was pretty easy to do. So as you're cutting these detail images, you want to move the paper, not your scissors. Try to keep your scissors in one place as you turn the paper. And now I'm using my black Tombow pen to do the edges of this, just to take away that white edge. And I'll do that all the way around. Now I've got my Jelly Roll white gel pen, and I'm going to add a few stripes here to the scarf. Again, here you could add polka dots or any little shapes that you wanted to add there, some little snowflakes, whatever you want to do here. I added a little bit of a stitched edge there around the sleeves on her sweater. And this is where you can really have a lot of fun. And here you can see I'm adding a little bit of detail around the bottom of her sweater, which was inspired again by the packaging that comes with this set of stamps. So now you can see that up close. I just think these little ladies are just so adorable. So now I'm using this stamp set here, and we're going to be using that Lamppost. And this is from Art Impressions, and this is called Christmas Wonder. I'll go ahead and place that in my Mini Misty and stamp this. I'm going to stamp 3 of these. So I went ahead and did those 3. And now we can color these in. So I'm going back to that medium gray color that we used before, number N65, and I'm just going to add some little shadows here. I want to make these little lampposts look a little bit more dimensional. So I'm using shades of the gray and the black on the lampposts. And that bottom section of the lamppost we're not going to be using at all. So I had colored a little bit towards the top of the base there, but I didn't even need to. I end up cutting that off. And then I'm going back to the same red we used on that other little lady's sweater there to do the ribbon on the lampposts. Again, just tying these colors back into the coloring that we did earlier. So I'll use that same blue that we used on the other lady's sweater on my little candles, and then the yellow for inside the lantern. And I did the same thing for all 3 of those. And again, I'm using my detail scissors, and I'm going to cut these out. So now you can see I have all 3 of those cut out. Now I've got a panel here that measures 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And that's going to sit on our 5 by 7 card panel. And now I've got another piece of cardstock here that measures 6 3/4 across, because we're going to create a couple little snowy borders and our little sidewalk here. So let's set those other 2 pieces aside, and I'm going to cut this to 1 inch. Now I do later on cut this down a little bit more, but this is where I started. I like to just kind of get started to see where things are going to be positioned. Now with my Lawn Fawn Slimline stitched border dies, I'm going to go ahead and tape these down with a little bit of purple tape. And I'll run those through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cutting machine. So we've got those 2 little hillside borders, and then we've got this little piece here at the bottom, and that's going to be for our little sidewalk that we're creating. But here's where I decided it was just a little bit too wide. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that down. And I'll cut that down to 3/4 of an inch. So it was 1 inch. I'm just going to take 1/4 of an inch off of this. So you can see this, our little scene is starting to come together here. So let's grab that little sidewalk border, And I'm using hickory smoke and black soot to color this in. Now these are the Distress Oxide ink pads. And I'm using my foam applicator to apply a nice even coating of that ink all the way across the bottom. Then I'll use my black soot to create a little shadow. This is going to be where it meets those snowbanks. So I wanted to create a little bit of a darker shadow here. And then I'll just go back and blend that out with the lighter shade. Now going to the weathered wood, I'm going to create a little shadow across the top of the snowbanks because it is a nighttime scene. So I want to create a little bit of a dark shadow here. So I'm scraping it along the edge of the snowbank, and then I'm just going to, without re-inking, I'm just going to pull that color down just a little bit. So again, you can see this. Okay, so now I want to figure out about where my little lanterns are going to go. So I'm going to evenly space these across the back of the scene here. I'm just tucking them in for now behind those snowbanks. And then I'll mark with a pencil where the center of the top of the lantern is here. And that's really so that you can see what I'm doing here. So you can see I have 3 little pencil marks there. Now I'm taking my Squeeze Lemonade Distress Oxide ink pad, and I'll erase those pencil marks here, but again, I just wanted to show you what I was doing here. And then I'm just going to apply a little circle of ink. I'm just twisting the applicator, just pouncing it down and twisting it around a little bit just to create just the start point of where my colors are going to be. So now that I have that done, I can open up those circles a little bit more. So I'm just spreading that ink out a little bit more here. And that's going to create the light coming off our lanterns. Now I'll take the tumbled glass and I'll fill in around these little circles. And again, this is just the beginning, so don't worry too much here. It's just to put a light coating of this down. Right now, it just looks like a hot mess, but I promise you it will come together. So I'm just going to apply an even coating of that here. Now to continue adding color, I'm going to switch over to my little foam daubers. That's just going to make it easier to get into this smaller area here. So I've grabbed the dauber for the Blueprint Sketch Distress Oxide ink pad, and I'm just going to come a little bit further away. So I want to leave a little of that tumbled glass showing, and then I'm going to start to apply this color on all the other areas. So I'm just going between those little light areas, and then I'll go back to my tumbled glass and I'll blend those 2 colors together a little bit better here. Now, so you'll want to keep reworking this until you get the look that you're going for. So it takes a little bit of time just to kind of keep blending. I find that the more time you spent just going back and blending, kind of go in reverse order and blend your colors out, which you can see I'm doing here, going back to the Squeeze Lemonade, you get the best blending this way. If you just take a little time and just keep working those areas until you get the look that you're going for. So now I want to add a little bit more of that darker color. So I'm going back to that Blueprint Sketch and just kind of dabbing in a little bit more color there. And now I'll bring in some of the chipped sapphire. And this is a nice dark blue, which is going to give us more of a nighttime sky. So now I want to just add that shadowing right above this little snowbank here. So I'm going to just try to figure out about where that is and then start adding a little bit of a shadow, just kind of following the line of that snowbank. And then I'll start blending that up towards the light there, just kind of blending it up into that area. And then going back to the lighter blue and doing a little bit more blending here. Then back to the tumbled glass. and then back to that squeezed lemonade just for a final blending. And you can see here what I'm doing is I'm pulling in a little bit of that darker color across that yellow area. I want to give it more the look of a nighttime sky, kind of like clouds or shadows that are in front of that light. So when you do your final blending, just let a little bit of that blue come across the yellow area, and that'll give you just that little bit of a shadow. Now I want to create the look of snow, so I'm using my white gesso. I'm just grabbing a little and putting it on my glass media mat. I've got a little tiny paintbrush because I want these little snow spatters to be very tiny. So I'm just mixing the gesso with the water here, and then I'm going to go ahead and spatter that entire panel, including that little sidewalk as well. Now I'm grabbing a sentiment from that same set that says hug in a mug, which I love that. That's so cute. I'm inking that up again with the VersaFine Onyx black ink, and I did stamp that a couple of times off camera. Now I'm going to take my ATG 700 tape dispenser, and I'll attach these two snowbanks together. Now I've got my 5x7 card panel, and I did attach two 5x7 panels together because I wanted that to be nice and thick. We're going to be creating an easel back on this a little bit later. So I've attached my sidewalk and now my little snowbanks. And I've got my little ladies here and the lamppost. So I'm going to go ahead and glue down the lamppost. I'm using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to do this. This is a nice strong adhesive. And now I did realize here that I needed to cut off some of that lamppost here. So I'm just going to trim away that bottom section so that I can tuck this down just a little bit further here. So I'll go ahead and glue all three of those down. And now for these little ladies, I wanted to pop them up so that they look like they're a little bit further forward, just to give it a little bit more interest. I've placed Scotch foam mounting tape all over the back here, and plenty of it just to make sure that they stay up nice and tall here. They don't get crushed when they go through the mail. And I'm back to my white gel pen here just to add a few more highlights to those lampposts. Now I've got my Wink of Stella glitter pen here, and this is just a clear glitter. I'm adding a little bit of sparkle inside those lampposts, and then I'll add some sparkle here to her hat, those little pom-poms. And then I did decide to add some to these bows as well. You do want to clean off that glitter pen in between colors here. You don't want to transfer the color because, again, that glitter pen is a water-based pen. I'll add a little bit of glitter to the tops of my snowbanks and right along that sidewalk as well. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I want to create an easel on this. So I'm using the Tim Holtz Alterations small easel die. This is a steel rule die. This is one of the big dies. And so I'm going to place the paper right on top of the die there, and I'll run it through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cutting machine. All I need is a plate on the bottom and a plate on the top, and I'll run that through. Now that'll also give us the score lines that we need here, so I'm just using my bone folder to press those out. And now that creates the little easel, but it is a little too tall for this particular card. So I'm going to just cut off a little bit on the top of this. And what's nice about this is you can adjust the size and the width if you need to here. So I'm just going to cut away a little bit of the top of that, and then I can go ahead and attach that to my card. So I cut off maybe about a ½ inch off the top there. I'll just center that on my card and glue that down. Again, I do have two panels of 5x7 cardstock there just to make this a little bit thicker. And then back to my white gel pen just to add a few snowflakes on the front of these ladies. So I'm using my Sparklettes embellishments. These are the red hearts. And again, I'll list all of these products down below and also on my blog. And I've glued those down with a little bit of the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. So let's take a closer look at our finished card, and we've got these cute little lampposts and these little ladies. They're just taking a stroll, having their hot coffee or their hot cocoa. And I just love this new exclusive stamp set. So go ahead and check that out. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to visit me at pinkwhisperdesigns.com. And also click the notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. Again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Take care. Bye-bye.